Hello, today we're going to take a look at one of these. I don't even know what to call these, but these are one of those multifunctional tester, identifier thingies. And there are lots of them coming out of China these days. And this is just going down the trajectory of modern multimeters and stuff that are made for really lazy people. So first you get the digital multimeters, and then you have functions like auto ranging, auto function selection, and the new meters got all this fancy software that take the guesswork out of you know what setting you need to use. And this just takes things one step further. So I'm going to explain what this does. So it does quite a number of things, but the main feature I want to show you is it's able to identify what component is connected to it, and it's also able to tell you the value of that component. But first, let's turn it on. And these devices are quite cheap. They're like about 40 quid. This one here actually has more functions than the cheaper ones. So I'm just going to show you a few things. So you can see three identical coaxial connections here. The first one is for a voltmeter, digital voltmeter obviously, and it does 0 to 40 volts AC and DC. This is the input for the digital oscilloscope. So if you just want a small pocket size oscilloscope, this is really compact and handy. That is the output. Excuse me, that is the output for the function generator. So as you can see, that function happens to be on the screen. So if I go into function generator, I can actually generate one of 6 type of waves, and I can specify the frequency that I want. How do we actually do this? Yep, so I think it goes up to, oh okay, it goes quite high actually. And the annoying thing is you can't go back to the highest value by pressing down, so you have to go back up again, all the way up, but it seems to do 10 kilohertz. And then the M there stands for amplitude, so you can set the how do I get out of this thing? So you can set the amplitude of the output waves. Anyway, enough of this. So you've got the oscilloscope function as well, so that doesn't need any explanation really. You can set the range and all that. This is what I really wanted to show you today, but we'll come back to that shortly. Now if I go to tools, we can see here we've got a voltmeter tool, which is to be used with the first coaxial input. We then have what I believe is the transistor identifier tool. Now, unfortunately, I haven't got any transistors with me today, so I can't really demonstrate that. So I'm not sure what functions 3 and 4 do, but let's not worry too much about that. There's also something called IR decode. So there's an IR receiver here, and you can take any remote control and point it there. And when you send a IR remote signal, it tells you the user code and data code for the signal that you're sending. Okay, pretty simple. Excuse me. All right, so this is really the function that most people buy these devices for. It's called M tester. So before playing around with this, I'm just going to explain what these numbers are. So all the inputs with identical numbers are kind of shorted together internally. So really, you only have 1, 2, and 3, and then this KAA bit is what I believe is used to identify and test transistors, but we can ignore this bit for now. So just assume there are only 3 inputs, 1, 2, and 3. The reason why they're repeated is because different components are spaced out differently. So for example, if we start with this component here, which of course you and I know is a capacitor, But does it work, and what value is it? So as you can see, it fits nicely between legs 1 and 2. So I'm stretching all the way across the width of the input. This lever here clamps the component down and makes contact with it. Once that's in, you just press the OK button, and it tells you it's a capacitor and tells you what value it is. Now, just a word of warning, I know my capacitors are discharged, but it's important to you, if you're not sure, to short them out, to discharge them before inserting them here. Otherwise, it could damage the device. So here we've got a smaller value capacitor. So I'm going to insert it anywhere, right? Let's do it between pins 2 and 3. Actually, it wouldn't go in there. Okay, here we barely got it in. 2 and 3. So it'll tell you that we've connected it between pins 2 and 3, or input 2 and 3, and tells you what the values are. Excuse me. We've got another one of these axial type capacitor, and these ones can be quite hard to read. So it's quite handy to have one of these devices. Clamp it down between inputs 1 and 2. Actually, let's do it this way. Let's do it between 1 and 2 just for fun. Okay, it's a capacitor, 94 nanofarad. So let's move on to a different kind of component. So here I've got a resistor. So obviously, a lazy person can't be bothered reading what the value is. Just put it between any 2 inputs. Press the button. Now it's going to say we've connected it between inputs 1 and 3, and the value is 64.4 ohms. Now, at this point, you may have noticed that the value readouts are not very accurate, and that is quite true. So I've compared a few components, compared the actual values with what's being read out there. And yeah, they're always a bit off, but at least for general sort of purpose, at least it tells you the component is working, and it tells you what it is. Right, we've got diode here, Schottky diode, I believe. This one is quite quick. Diode, I think that's a forward voltage, and it tells you which polarity it is. So we've got the negative bit facing the left. If I take this other glass diode, and if I put it the other way around now, so the negative terminal is facing the right. Clamp it down. Oh, maybe I've got it the wrong way around. Let's flip it around. I think some diodes happen to be the wrong way around, even though the black bit is painted there. Strangely enough, it still says that negative is on the left. Don't know what's happening here. Anyway, just one last thing. This is a capacitor that doesn't work. So how do I know it doesn't work? Well, I've tried it a couple of times. You press that, and it says no unknown or damaged part. So we know that's faulty. And that's it, really. So this is charged via USB-C. It's got a little stand. That's the model number if you're interested. DSO-TC3. Okay, thanks for watching.